first boundary we're going to explain are divergent boundaries. We are going to use the Oreo to represent the divergent boundary. So as Carly's doing, she's going to pull apart the top to show how a divergent boundary forms. Most divergent boundaries are along the seafloor and rift valleys, which are flat, low-lying valleys that form when the tectonic plates move away from each other or diverge, like in a divergent boundary. When seafloor spreading begins, magma rises through the faults and forms a mid-ocean ridge as a result from the divergent boundary. The ridge is a continuous mountain chain on the ocean floor, and these boundaries are caused by the high heat flow and earthquakes. Now we're going to show you how a transform boundary is formed. So Carly is going to show you how a transform boundary is formed when the plates slide horizontally past each other, and you can see how the crust crumbled a little bit, and that represents the earthquakes that come as a result from transform boundaries. So a transform boundary, here you can, they move horizontally and slide, it's when two plates slide past each other horizontally. And when the plates aren't perfectly parallel and slide past each other, they can either be oblique divergent or oblique convergent, which we will later explain. Now we are going to show you how convergent boundaries form. Convergent boundaries occur when two tectonic plates move towards each other, and at the collision, the denser plate descends below the other. This is called subduction. So Carly will move the two plates towards each other, and you can see the mountain ranges that are formed in this model. Now we're going to show you how a subduction zone is formed. Carly's going to show you how this is formed, and it's formed when one oceanic plate descends below the other oceanic plate, creating an ocean trench. The subducting plate carries water into earth and lowers, forcing the mantle to melt. The magma rises to the surface, and where it erupts and forms an arc of volcanic islands like the Mariana Trench. Oceanic subduction causes volcanic island arcs as well to form, which are arc chains of volcanoes that form above a subduction zone. Our next boundary that we are going to explain is an oceanic continental convergent boundary that forms a subduction zone when the oceanic plate descends below the continental plate because of its density. So the oceanic plate is more dense than the continental plate and will descend below the continental plate, and these convergences produce trenches and volcanic arcs and result in volcano chains. These usually result in a mountain range with many volcanoes like the Andes mountain range. So as you can see in our model, the oceanic plate is more dense, so it will descend below the continental plate, creating mountain ranges and volcano chains. The next boundary we're going to show is a continental convergent boundary. And this happens when two continental plates collide. In our model, you can see that we have the two continental plates, and as they converge, they smash together. And this is due because of the continental lithosphere is very thick and low in density, and it cannot subduct because it's too buoyant like the oceanic plates do. As a result, the material is pushed upwards, resulting in earthquakes and metamorphic rocks. There are no volcanoes because the crust is too thick for magma to get through. These boundaries have formed the Himalayas and the Appalachian Mountains from when Pangea came together. So as I previously mentioned, transform boundaries can either be oblique convergent or oblique divergent when the two plates aren't perfectly parallel and can't slide past each other like a regular transform boundary does. So starting off with an oblique divergent boundary is when two non-parallel plates slide horizontally and pull away from each other. This is known as a destructive boundary. And oppositely, an oblique convergent boundary is when two non-parallel plates slide horizontally towards each other and push into each other. This is called a constructive boundary.